everyone. Happy Tuesday. Thank you so much for joining us for this webinar. My name is Sara Shikhman. I'm the managing partner here at Lengea Law. I founded this law firm in 2019 after working at a med spa group for a while and starting the practice from a one-room practice in one state and growing the med spa to 12 locations in several different states. And I'm super excited to have Fran Acunzo with us today from Acara Partners. I've known him for a long time, and he's really an industry pioneer and knows everyone in the industry, knows how to do everything from the business side in the industry, and has a lot of areas of expertise. But the one that we thought was really timely for now was about buying lasers, and the questions to ask, because he has a wealth of expertise in this area in particular. And I'll let Fran introduce himself, but he's a super special person in this industry. And I'm so happy that we were able to get him to do this webinar for you guys.
Thank you, Sarah. Well, thank you everybody for joining me today. And it's exciting to collaborate with Sarah and Lengea Law. They are, for us, our go-to law firm when it comes to healthcare law, specifically in the world of aesthetic medicine. So we're very fortunate to be able to work with them and be able to present this to you today. Before I begin, I'll just give you a quick backgrounder on myself. I've been doing this for probably almost 30 years. It was back in 1996 that my wife and I owned a 20,000 square foot day spa, and we had this harebrained idea to actually merge it with a cosmetic laser company. And that was when the entire medical spa industry began, via the merger of a day spa and the cosmetic laser company, Candela, in 1996. Done many things since then, including taking a chain of 37 medical spas out of bankruptcy, supporting an industry consolidation. We're now up to 15 locations with Princeton Med Spa Partners. We have worked with, as Acara Partners, over 350 medical spas and aesthetic medical practices throughout the country. I have helped raise over $150 million for projects for myself and, of course, projects for our clients throughout the country to launch their medical spas. And we have developed over 185 medical spas for physicians, entrepreneurs, and hospitals throughout the United States. So we've helped acquire a lot of lasers throughout this entire practice. And I'm here today to just talk to you a little bit about how I look at this as far as what to think about. What are the 10 questions you want to ask when buying a laser? Okay, let's start. Question 1. What laser companies do I want to receive quotes from? There are tens and 20, probably 20, 30 top laser companies in our country. And you don't want to be getting quotes from that many. 2, 3, maybe 4. You first have to start with what device meets my needs. So you have to figure out what services do I want to offer at my medical spa or aesthetic medical practice. And then once you identify what services you want to offer, identify the lasers that offer the modalities that service those conditions that you want to treat. Not the other way around. You don't buy a laser because you saw some fancy laser on a trade show floor and it's like, I want that laser. What does it do? No, you want to buy a laser that meets your needs, that meets the needs of your clients. You also want to know, am I buying this laser directly from the manufacturer or from a distributor? It's okay to buy from a distributor. When you buy from the manufacturer, you have a little bit more direct contact with, the R&D, the knowledge base. Make sure you think about that. Also, when you're buying from a distributor, oftentimes you're distributing a laser from another country. Now, they always say if you're going to buy a car, buy German, they're like the best. Well, if you're going to buy a laser, buy American. Our country builds the best lasers. I'm partial to American-made lasers being manufactured here in this country. You want to know how long they've been in business? Obviously, it's very important. You want a company that's been around for a while. You want to know, do they have their own service team? Or are they farming that out? Now, a lot better to have an internal service team that's connected directly to manufacturing and R&D, and they're going to do a better job. You also want to know who are their luminaries, who are their key opinion leaders that are out there speaking to the general public about the lasers that are out there doing that research for them. Very important. Question number 2 you want to ask, who can I speak to that has used the same laser for at least 3 years? Receive a long list of references. Just don't get 1 or 2 people. Get 5, 6, 7 people that you can call. Check their website for additional references. Always great to call references that you weren't given, that you just uncovered. You're going to get the most honest answer from that doctor or that physician. Ask the references, are you being paid to be a reference? Nothing wrong with that question. You'll be very surprised how many yeses you're going to get to that question. Now, is that a bad thing? Not necessarily, but it's always kind of good to know. So ask that question. When you do speak to a reference, ask them about Have you had service issues with the laser? How have been the results? Do they meet your expectation? More so, are they meeting the expectation of your clients, of your patients? Ease of use. Is there a lot of training involved? Can I have my esthetician use the laser? My nurse practitioner? What level of individual and training is necessary? Responsiveness of the service team, really important. You want next day or same day turnaround times. Responsiveness of the sales team. They oftentimes can help you out in difficult situations once you make the purchase. They have demo machines. So if you have to send your machine back, oftentimes they can drop off their demo machine so you're not down and calling patients out or pushing them into the future. Quality of training. Find out about their training programs. When you're talking to the references, ask about the training that was provided. Do they see it as being sufficient? Is there advanced training? Do you have to pay for any training? Question number 3, can I have a demonstration? Do not buy a laser without having a demonstration. And ask if you can test drive it. In other words, can they leave the laser with you for a couple of days and you can try out using the laser on a few guinea pigs, friends, family typically, so you can see what the results are like and see how comfortable you are with the laser. Question 4, how adaptable is the system for future upgrades? This is really important because if the laser is not adaptable, you can't upgrade it in the future. As things change and the company comes out with the latest, greatest, you're going to be stuck with an antiquated laser and you're going to be having to buy a new one to upgrade. So you want to be able to get a laser that you can add to it, a laser that you can add upgrades to it. It's really important. A laser that you can expand and maybe have more than 1 or 2 modalities that you originally purchased it for. You can add a 3rd or a 4th modality. What marketing support do I receive from your company? What's the consumer advertising that has been done? So you want to see the type, I mean, think about the most famous consumer advertising that was done for a medical device was Cool Sculpting. Remember how impactful that advertising campaign was in moving the general public to acquire, purchase Cool Sculpting services. So you want to know if there's any general public type advertising happening. What marketing support materials are available to me? Is there a portal that I can go and download things like brochures or handouts that I can use? And will you support an event? Really important. You just spent $250,000. You want to know that when you have a launch event and you have 30 or 40 people there, that somebody from the laser company that you just purchased will be on site helping to promote the service set that can be performed with that laser. Question 6, are there any consumables? Now, there's nothing wrong with consumables, but you need to know what they are and you need to know their costs. That way you can figure out your cost per treatment and you can properly forecast your sales for that laser and determine your gross margin for that laser. Critical question to ask. And also, when talking to references, confirm the information that they're telling you with references. Question number 7, what training is included with the purchase of the laser? Who does the training? Where does the training take place? Oftentimes, they will send a nurse trainer or some type of trainer to your location. In addition to that, you want to know if there's advanced training where you can send your staff to, or you can go yourself for a preceptorship, let's say. I know Dr. Vitters with Cyton does preceptorships that are just excellent. If you buy a Cyton laser, you want to go to one of Dr. Vitters, especially an IPL, the VPL device they have, one of his preceptorships. How many team members can be trained? Can I train my entire staff? If there's offsite training, how many team members can I send? Can I buy additional training? That can be a preceptorship or just additional training with a nurse trainer that can come to you. That's important to know. And what happens when I hire a new employee 1 year after I buy the laser? I need to get them trained. Now, I can train them in-house, but it would be nice to also have additional training. And is that going to cost me money or will that be facilitated for me? Question 8, what type of warranty or service agreement is included with the purchase of the laser? How long is the warranty for? When you purchase a laser, oftentimes, many companies will give you a 1-year warranty. Many companies will allow you to buy a number of years in warranty. Like you can purchase up front and it's less expensive to buy 3 years of warranty. What does the warranty cover? Is it all parts and labor? Is it just parts? Will they replace the device while they repair it? Can I purchase additional years of warranty? We just talked about that. And typically, you can really get a good discount when you do that. So think about doing additional years upfront. What is the turnaround time for a service call? Again, something to ask the references, to make sure that people aren't waiting a week to have a technician come on site to do repairs. The laser manufacturers track the number of service calls per laser per year. Ask the question, how many service calls per laser per year with this particular device? What's the process of placing a service call? Do you go online and submit a ticket? Do you call your rep? Do you call the service department? What's that process? What internal diagnostics are in the laser to help with the service process? Nowadays, oftentimes these lasers will put out codes, and these codes have meaning to the manufacturer, of course, not really to you. But the manufacturer can tell you what to do sometimes to make the repair yourself, or at least start the repair or reset the laser. So something to ask. Laser specification questions. What wavelengths or filters are available, which will allow the laser to get different results based on what wavelength you're using or a filter you're using? What's the spot size or the footprint? So is it round, rectangular, square? How many centimeters wide and high? What's the range of energies at each spot size? What is the cooling range in degrees? So there's oftentimes a cooling system built into some of these lasers. And it's good to ask, what's that range of cooling? Is it a 110 volt or a 210 volt system? And why that choice? It's okay to have 220, but you're just gonna have to make accommodations possibly in your facility if you don't have that available. You're gonna have to have it all set prior to getting the laser on site. So there's some additional cost to that. If you have to have an electrician come in and convert to a 220 in a treatment room, not a big cost, but $300, $400, $500 depending on how you're set up. And lastly, of course, how much does the laser cost? Make sure you're comparing apples to apples. And what I mean is looking at one laser company to the next laser company, same modality, same features. One may have a much lower energy level than the other. That's not apples to apples. So that's important. Create a spreadsheet, line them up, list the features and benefits that you're looking for, and then identify those by manufacturer. Negotiate. Everything can be negotiated. And there's a fair, can be a fair amount of play. It also depends on the time of year. End of quarter, end of year tend to be better times because many of these companies are publicly traded. They're trying to hit their quarter goals or their annual goals. So you'll have a better opportunity possibly to get a better deal and press a little bit harder.
I have a lot of questions based on what you said. So I guess the first question is, in terms of the warranties and the other things that come in the contract with the laser, like the service, like let's say that the rep says to someone, we always replace things within 2 business days or 3 business days. Is it a reasonable ask for people to say, well, let's put that into our contract here, that this is going to be the service expectation? Or do you think most laser companies will not do that?
I think most laser companies won't do it, but it is not unreasonable to ask by any means.
Yeah, I think our experience has been many won't do it, some will do it, but they'll definitely fight not to do it for some reason.
They'll fight not to do it, and they'll resist. But some may do it. I would imagine the younger ones, the more hungry ones, the ones not doing as well as certain ones. Yeah.
And tell us a little bit about the negotiation process and how much room there is to negotiate. Like, is it 20%, 10%? Like, how do you know? How would a customer know, right? How much negotiating there could be?
It's almost impossible to know, and it depends on the company. Some companies will negotiate with you and be more flexible. Others will not. I would say push the limit in the beginning. Not fair to go past probably 20%, but at least that's a starting point. So if a laser's $200,000, try to get them at 160. Test it at 160 and see how resistant they are and go from there.
Got it. My other question that sometimes comes up is when people are doing their financial planning for their business, how long should they expect the useful life of a laser to be?
Interesting. You have to depreciate it over 5 years unless you accelerate the depreciation. But the useful life of a laser is much, much more than 5 years. I mean, I have seen BVL lasers with Cyton out there for 15, 18 years. So, you can expect at least 10 years from most reputable laser manufacturers.
Got it. And I would agree with that. I've seen in some of our clients' practices some 10-plus-year-old lasers that are still making people money. So one of our first questions from one of our participants is, let's say somebody already bought a laser and they're not making money with it and they're not getting any support with the laser company. What should they do?
That's a tough one. Well, there's a few reasons that could be happening. One, you don't have buy-in from your team. That's first and foremost. Your team has to be on board with using that laser. And they have to be excited about getting the results that can be achieved with that laser. If you have that, then it's a marketing communication issue. You have the ability to treat a condition but for some reason, you're not communicating your message correctly into the marketplace, getting them to want to purchase the treatment from your practice. So it becomes a marketing problem at that point. So first and foremost, look to your team. Make sure they're excited, make sure they're trained, make sure they know how to do a consult, then look to the marketing. Make sure your advertising promotions are reaching your audience that have the conditions that need this device, and then put it all together.
And is that something Acara, your company, can help people with?
Of course, we do practice improvement type programs all the time. And oftentimes when we go in to a practice to identify what the issue is, why are they not achieving the profit level that they want to be, or not achieving profit at all, we identify the fact that there are underutilized lasers or devices, and or they're missing key lasers and devices they should have as part of what they offer.
Right. So like if somebody is doing injectables, but maybe they don't have a laser or they have a very narrow laser, and then their customer is going somewhere else to do that, they're kind of losing that customer potentially for everything.
Yes, even for the injectables, because if they go to the other practice for, let's say, a skin rejuvenation laser type treatment, and they find out, oh, you do injectables here? Well, all of a sudden it runs the risk of losing them for injectables to that other practice that has laser services.
Okay, another person asks, some companies offer a KOL option with the laser for a discount. Any specific advice if you've been offered a KOL contract?
Some KOL contracts are true and honest. Some are almost a gimmick to get you to buy the laser. It's really about developing a relationship with the company. Think about it. You've never used their laser before, and now they want to make you a KOL, key opinion leader. Are you a key opinion leader when you don't even have that laser and never used it before? Now, you may be eventually, but it's really, if they go that route, it's really all about developing a relationship with the laser company and making sure that you can stand behind the modality. You're getting the results that are equal or better than other luminaries or other physicians. And then, yes, you're going to make a great KOL. And rightfully so, a KOL price should be yours.
Somebody else asked, what are the recommended laser vendors that you would recommend for laser hair removal?
Oh, laser hair removal. I always recommend Sciton to start with. It is the Cadillac of lasers, made in America. You really cannot go wrong, but there are other good devices out there as well. Just again, do your homework, check your references.
And let's say somebody's trying to sell a laser from one practice to another. Is there any recommendations you have for avoiding the recertification fee or making
Yeah.
that as smooth of a transition as possible?
One, you're taking a risk. I can honestly tell you three stories where people basically lost 100% of the money they spent on used lasers, up to $65,000 on one of them, $40,000 on another, and $18,000 on another. All three, it was a waste of money. Recertification, you always have to do it because you want to have proper service from the original manufacturer, but they won't touch the laser unless they recertify it. And those fees are expensive. They can be anywhere from $20,000 to $50,000 depending on the laser. Tread cautiously when looking to buy a used laser.
Yeah, I would agree with that advice. And also from the lawyer's perspective, laser burns and laser issues are the highest percentage of all the things that we see from a malpractice standpoint in aesthetics. There are very few cases involving things like Botox because once somebody is burned with a laser, it's very hard to get rid of that burn completely. And if you didn't get the laser recertified and you bought it used and you don't have the manufacturer saying like everything was working correctly, it becomes much more complicated to defend if someone said like this laser was defective essentially.
Yes, I totally agree with that, Sarah.
Yeah. Another question is, what do you think about the Photona laser?
It's a good device. I don't have anything negative or positive to say.
Somebody else asked, what if they're buying their first laser and they have a injectables practice, what should that laser do?
I think everybody should have a intense pulse light or a PVL, as Saiton calls it, device as just a steady Freddy, getting rid of reds and browns and helping facilitate even hair removal.
And what would be a good, like, what's a good name of an entry level laser give us like two or three companies, the basic IPL or BBL laser. What is it called?
I hesitate to like endorse anybody other really than our company personally stands behind Saiton. So I'm comfortable endorsing that because we know that company inside and out and we know their devices and we feel 100% comfortable recommending them. Luminous makes great devices. Candela makes some great devices. So there are others. that are of course very good.
And somebody asked, is it better to rent lasers when first starting out instead of buying?
No, no, like dipping your big toe into the water, it just doesn't work. So either you have to make a commitment or I wouldn't bother.
What if someone is really low on funds?
Well, I mean, they can do it. It's just I don't know if they're ever really going to be successful as far as laser sales are concerned because of the limitation when you're renting lasers.
Got it. Somebody had a question slash comment that it's important to buy devices that will serve their demographic. So, for example, if you have a client base that has darker skin, maybe IPL or BBL may not be the best as a laser.
That is correct. You definitely want to think about your demographic when looking at the various devices. So that's somewhat changed now over time, but yes, there still is skin types 5/6s, high fives and sixes are still can be difficult with certain lasers.
And somebody asked, do each of the laser companies rent?
No, I don't think anybody rents that I know of at the moment. They've had different programs over the years, different laser companies, but nobody right now that I know of.
Yeah, I think from my perspective, none of the official like laser companies rent. There are some third-party companies that rent,
Oh, yes, of course. Yes,
but it's tricky territory because of some of the issues that we talked about, where the support and the standing behind the quality and all that kind of stuff. So we found that sometimes when people are renting, there isn't that much support. So if something goes wrong, there's really no one helping them at all. Another question is, if somebody wanted to schedule a practice improvement appointment, would they just contact you by email?
sure. You can contact me by email or you can give me a call. The number's up on the screen, and so is my email.
Okay, perfect. What do you think is the trend where the laser industry is going? Like, do you see any exciting new technology that people should, if they already have the basic IPL, BBL laser and they want to buy something else before the end of the year or something like that? What
Yeah.
technology do they think about?
Nothing new this year that I can think of that, like the latest greatest, like when RF came out back how many years ago now, or when Cool Sculpting came out 12 years ago, or nothing like that has come on the market this year.
I agree. I haven't seen anything that was like so revolutionary. I think it's really back to the basics in
It
terms of
is, yeah.
that have been working, are continuing to work.
I will say Saiton's heroic is pretty impressive.
And
Yeah,
how different than like the basic Saiton M Jewel or Moxie?
the M Jewel is a platform. A Moxie is a service that they offer. The heroic is the ability to provide.
Yeah, and the speed of delivery really makes a difference. Like one of the things was how long is the treatment taking? So it improves your profitability a lot if you could do it the treatment much faster. What advice would you give somebody just starting out when they're just deciding what to do with services? Like, should somebody start with injectables or should they start with a laser? So when we were starting, we always started with injectables first because the buy-in for injectables was less. The thing is, over time, lasers become more profitable. So even though the buy-in is much more, if the laser has small disposable costs and is fast, you can make a lot more money per treatment with the laser, especially after it's paid off or half paid off. So I know a lot of our bigger customers now, like some of the bigger chains, a lot of them start with lasers actually because they have the capital and they can get a laser financed. And so they are not starting with injectables. They may start with like a great laser machine. So I can see both sides of it. But Fran, what do you think?
Yes, thank you. So it depends on the facility you're building out too. If you're investing in a large facility, you need to have a full complement of med spa services, thus lasers are involved. If you want to start out small, either like a salon suite type environment or just a small office environment, injectables only is absolutely fine.
Somebody asks, what is your relationship to Saiton? Do you have financial affiliation to Saiton?
Yes, we do. We distribute Saiton lasers in New England.
Got it. If somebody wants to just ask your opinion about different laser companies, since you've been in the industry for a long time, is that a question that they can call you about and pay for your time and get your opinion?
Sure. I mean, I'd be more than happy to just talk to somebody about my thoughts on the various laser companies if they want to just give me a call.
Perfect. Okay. Any last minute thoughts that you wanted to share with people?
No, I thank you for providing me the ability to present this. I think it's information that is important for people to have. They're making a big investment when they're buying a laser, so it's important to do it right. And
Yeah.
hopefully this has been helpful.
Definitely. Yeah, I think it's great. I think your list of questions is fantastic. And we're also going to have a blog post about this so you guys will see it, the list of questions in writing. Thank you, everybody, for your time. We appreciate it. Thank you, Fran, for coming and presenting this. And
Thank you, Sarah.
we will see you guys again soon.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Bye.